Welcome back to another episode of the Yepboat Podcast. Today is a super exciting one because, of course, the new patch notes dropped yesterday. They're going live in a couple hours from recording this one. So we'll be talking about all the new stuff, some predictions of things that I have noticed and how the tribes are going to work, about other concepts like the damage cap, all the good stuff basically that's new. And I'm going to give some info and things that I've read on Twitter. We also talk about the old meta issues that were present in the past, and we'll see if they were addressed or not, and if they will continue happening. I'm also going to talk a little bit about changes that I missed in this patch. So this patch note wasn't perfect. There's a lot of new cool stuff, a lot of things to be hyped about, but a lot of things that people are also kind of upset about or sad about that I'll have to discuss as well, of course. And then a little bit about the channel. The channel has been doing really well lately, and I'm changing up the content. So if you want to stick around for that and see what videos I have in store for the future, I'll talk about that. Also, thank you to everyone listening on Spotify. Again, these episodes you can listen to on Spotify if you don't want the YouTube version, if you don't want the audio, if you're working out, going to the store, in a train, whatever. Basically, it's everywhere. Anyway, Yepboat Podcast. Maybe a lost episode because the boat died. Rip boat. I'll still keep calling it Yepboat Podcast, just as a memoir of the good old memories we have of like double Eliza from a boat. So all the new stuff. What I did is, I reviewed the patch notes. So if someone here hasn't seen the patch notes or doesn't know what's new, I made a 30-minute video talking about everything and giving my 2 cents on it. So after that, I went live on Twitch and I theorycrafted, or I had like Paint open, and I just took everything that was new, everything that was removed, started thinking about how every tribe plays now, what the meta might look like, talking with people in chat and discussing what is new. I also read a lot on Twitter, checked other streams, so this is kind of a comprehensive guide, if you will, about what is new, how I think things are evolving, and what to expect. So I'm gonna pull up real quick all the files that I made, because I made a picture of every tribe, everything that was removed, added the win conditions, and a small summary. If you want to see all of those, I put them on Twitter, so I suggest you check out the Twitter or Discord. I put them in Discord as well. Links, of course, are in the description if you're not yet part of those communities. But yeah, if you want to see the pictures there, you can see what I thought about them. But in short, let me see. We're gonna start off with beasts, if I can find them. Maybe I can't. I put them on my desktop, but I put them in a different folder now. Essentially, for beasts, it is really interesting because Goldrin is still a thing. Mama Bear is still a thing, but it got like an added win condition. Mama Bear basically got better. Like the Mama Bear comp has improved, which is interesting because Mama Bear was already strong. I think previous meta people already played Mama Bear over Goldrin most of the time because you can find it really early. You can put a lot of stats on the board, but one thing that was missing with Mama Bear is that, well, it doesn't scale as well as other tribes. Yeah, that have scaling, because Mama Bear caps out at a certain point. It's not that reliable if it gets sniped by a bomb, by a zap, by whatever. But okay, I found it. I found the pictures finally. Sorry for looking so long. There's only 5 bees being removed, and they're kind of bad. They're like tempo stuff in the early game, like pack leader stuff. We don't really care that much about it. A pack leader was nice if you find like Red Pack, Infested Wolf. Kylie Grandmother was removed. Nobody cared about that card. It was my most hated card in the entire game. It's good to finally see it gone and being replaced by a better version, which is Sewer Rat and Leapfrogger. Leapfrogger is really interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of early Leapfrogger beast compositions because it just seems rather strong. It seems like a good combo. And then, Ferment Sensei was removed. So with Menagerie or with Bran, it's going to be a little bit hard to scale up a Hydra, which is interesting. I guess there's different ways to scale up Hydra now, because Bird Buddy, Avenge, is crazy. For those of you who don't know Avenge, it's a new keyword that I'll talk about a little bit later as well. But whenever Avenge triggers, it can trigger multiple times a turn. So if it's Avenge 1, that means one thing needs to die for Avenge to trigger. If Avenge 3 is on the card, then 3 things need to die and Avenge triggers. And it can trigger multiple times a turn, and it's really strong because I thought it would only trigger once a turn. That's how strong I thought it would be. A lot of people thought it would trigger once because the Avenge secret that Akazamzorak had also triggers once. So the fact that it triggers multiple times blows away my expectations and the expectations of a lot of other people. So Bird Buddy Avenge 1 gives you your beast +1/+1. So if you have a red pack that's like a 5/5, it pops a bunch of 1/1s. Then it gives +1/+1 to all beasts. Then you hit a 1/1 red, your other reds become +2/+2. Oh yeah, they were to +2/+2 already. They become a 3/3. Another red dies, the other remaining reds become 4/4s if Bird Buddy doesn't get sniped. The stats this can produce early game are insane if you have some beasts on the board. But with Infested Wolf and Grandmother gone, there's less beasts, of course. There is Sewer Red and Leapfrogger instead. But you really want a red pack as well. And the Reborn is also very interesting. You can now give beasts Reborn with the tier 4 unit. Again, I'm not going to go over every unit in depth for that. I would suggest you check out the patch notes or the video or the notes that I provided. But yeah, Reborn on beasts is pretty cool. With like your Mount Bear cannot get sniped. You can Reborn a Mechs, you can Reborn Goldrin or Macaw. I don't know, man. This is very interesting. Same with Pale Scale Crocolisk, which is the thing that's gonna make mid-game beasts even stronger, and Mama Bear beasts. So the notes that I said with beasts is, well, we still have the Goldrin comp. Nothing changed there. We got the Macaw, Goldrin, Daffodil-less beast. We don't have Ironhide anymore, Dire Horns. So one Daffodil-less beast gone, but I think it's still playable. But the Mama Bear comp got better stuff. There's a lot of better Death Rattle beasts now in the game. We can reborn shit. The Crocolisk is just nuts. Avenge 2 and Death Rattle give +6/+6 to beasts. So if you have a bunch of Death Rattle beasts, they're just gonna keep on buffing each other. It's kind of insane. So Mama Bear comp is gonna be a lot better. Beasts will have a better earlier tempo scalability, I should say. So beasts got buffed. They got strong. Think you'll see some of them in your lobbies very early on. And then the next up tribe is demons. Demons got, I think, the biggest rework because they got the most units removed and added. But I think I might be alone here. I think beasts still needed more. Demons, my bad. Demons need more, but I've seen a lot of people say on Twitter and on other places that demons will be good. I don't see it. Maybe I'm blind, but basically they got rid of a Hex Rune, which was a great beast if you power. I keep saying beast instead of demon. Sorry guys, I need more coffee maybe. But basically, Hex Rune was a really cool demon that if you power level, you can stabilize, get some big stats on the board. Mal'Ganis is gone. The bad tier 1 demons are gone, like Homunculus and Fiendish, and then useless stuff like Imgang Balls, which no one played. Crystal Weaver, which was more of a tempo play. It also doesn't really make demons work. So none of these really made sense in demon archetype, except for maybe Mal'Ganis, because then you're immune and you can skill Weavers. Instead, we got some better one-drops, which are just better tempo, I guess, but they don't really add much, except for if you play Jugglers, the 1/1 imp that summons 2 imps could be good. It also works with Big Fernal, I guess. Impatient Doomsayer is really cool. It's Avenge 3. It's a 3-drop that gives you a demon in your hand. So you can generate some demons in the mid-game, maybe get some pairs, get some triples going, and find your demon comp. But still, you have to play a 2/6 and 3 things have to die to generate 1 demon. Is that worth it? We'll see, because demons still aren't that good. And we have then a Mal'Ganis on tier 4. It's a little bit of a different Mal'Ganis. It still makes you immune, and gives you demons +3 attack. So we'll see how strong it is. I don't think it'll be as strong as Mal'Ganis, but it's a tier earlier. It just seems unnecessary. Unless you're doing Weaver stuff still, and it seems like they still want you to do Weaver stuff because, well, they did, but Mal'Ganis is in tier lower. They kept Weaver, they kept Big Fernal, and instead they added more stuff that wants you to cycle demons. So they added a tier 5 unit that whenever you play a demon, you're gonna consume a demon in Bob's shop. So take those stats and put them onto, I think, that guy. So basically this way you can scale up more demons by cycling demons if you buy them. If you have this 5-drop, you have the Werf Weaver, the Big Fernal, and then you have a 6-drop that at the end of your turn also consumes demons from the shop to get, or not demons, just any units from the shop to gain their stats. So you got like a couple more ways to scale now. It incentivizes a lot of buying and selling of demons and generating. But is that good though? I don't think it compares to what other tribes got. I think this, if you made this demon chase previous patch, maybe it was good. But this patch with power creep in most classes, like Beast got better, Elementals got better, everything got better, Mechs got better. This just doesn't seem enough. Although a lot of people said demons are going to be strong. I don't see it. We'll see who is right or wrong. I might be wrong. Let me know down below in the comments, or if you're listening on Spotify, just make up your mind if you think demons will be fine or not. Again, I'm gonna stream later, so we'll see. I'm gonna test them out. I'm gonna try and play every single tribe and then take some notes while I'm streaming. And in a couple days, I'll be back with another episode of the Yepboat podcast, talking about all of this, because I think this is one of the biggest changes we've had, and there's a lot to discuss. But yeah, when it comes for demons, I guess they got their scaling still. The Weaver scaling. Soul Juggler is still in, so you can still do juggler comps. We still got Ring Matron, we still got a Void Lord, Imp Mama, so you can still do a juggler comp, although jugglers, I don't need to explain them anymore. They're just not great. Next up, we're gonna talk about Mechs, and Mechs is bullshit. I don't know what went through their head, but they buffed Mechs a lot. They got rid of Micro Machine, no one cares about that. Rover, it's a reset, it's a tempo on tier 4, you don't really care about it either. They got rid of Jungbot, no one plays Jungbot. Sensei is the only thing that really hurts, I think. Sensei was a really good hit on tier 3, it helps you scale up really early on. It was a good unit. I like Iron Sensei a lot, especially since it went from tier 4 to tier 3, got buffed some time ago. And they got rid of Sneeds, which is also just a tempo option. But now we got a tier 1 Divine Shield unit, Puppbot, which is a big mistake. Again, Divine Shield units on tier 1 are a mistake because of Daryl, because of Katoon, because it shouldn't be this early that you can get a Divine Shield unit. Mechs have already too many shields, I feel like. And adding another shield into the game, I'm scared, because we got Greasebot, and Greasebot is the card I'm most scared about for Mechs. It's a 3/6 on tier 4, and whenever a Divine Shield is popped, it will give that unit +2/+1 permanently. So if you have a Deflectobot, if you attack in once, it gets +2/+1. If the shield gets reset and it attacks again, it gets +2/+1 again. So Greasebot is just gonna explode your board, because everything is gonna have Divine Shield. This with Puppbot is gonna start growing. So I'm just, what I'm gonna do very early on is just go to tier 4 and force Mechs. I think I'm just gonna play tier 4 Mechs. I'm gonna play Deflectobots, gonna play Greasebot, find all the modules, and win. We also got Mechanotank Avenge 2, so 2 things need to die on tier 4, and then it deals 6 damage to the highest health minion. It's kind of like Jugglers in a mech comp, but different. Although I'm not sure how I feel about it. I don't think we need that. It's nice with the, I guess, the microbots that you can summon, but Rover is gone. With Jungbot, it's kind of like an incentive from Jungbot. With Jungbot, whenever a mech dies against +2/+2, now 2 mechs or 2 things need to die and you deal 6 damage. I don't know about that. It could be cool. Again, Avenge, I'm going to talk about it later, but you could do some cool combos with it, so maybe there's potential there. Holy Mackerel, another reason why mechs are busted to me, why I think I'm just going to force them and win every lobby. It's an 8/4 mech that, after a friendly minion loses Divine Shield, regains Divine Shield. So you just taunt up 2 Mackerels with module, you have your entire board of Divine Shields, so they attack into Mackerel, they regain shield. Attack into Mackerel, your other Deflectobot attacks, they regain shields again. And technically it could go infinite if they keep attacking into the wrong Mackerel. They can keep bouncing a shield in between each other, which is stupid. At some point your Mackerels will attack in, but you can really delay those attacks a lot with Death Rattle units and things like that, because you're Mechs after all. So dude, and then you have Greasebot to buff up the Mackerels every single time. I'm telling you, I don't know what went through their mind when designing Mechs. They just buffed them, even though they already buffed Deflectobot earlier, and Mechs were in a good spot. They already won lobbies, Taunt Comp is great. The only thing removed for Taunt Comp is Kiraji, but Kiraji mech Taunt Comp isn't really a thing. Kiraji is more of like a mid-game power spike with Void Lord, with Acolytes of Katoons just for extra stats. Taunt Comp with Mechs mainly wants Arm, and Arm is in the game. All they did with Arm was nerf it from a 4/4, from a 5/4 to a 4/4, so taking 1 health off, meaning it's a less good tempo option early on without taunts. But if you have a couple taunts, I'll still take an Arm and get the attack high up. So Mechs are still insane. And then there's 6 drop, I don't really care too much about, so I'm not going to cover it. People said it's a gold rune for Mechs. Sure, but Mechs don't really need a gold rune, I think. You don't want to sacrifice a board spot for a gold rune. It is also a reset though, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe it can fit sometimes if you don't have a replacement unit for it, so could be okay. We'll see, we'll see. So the win cons for Mechs are still Deflectobots, but now I think Holy Mackerel and Greasebot are added additional win cons together with Arm. Like, stupid. I'm gonna play Mechs. I don't know about you guys. Murlocs, I don't know. I'm sad about the Murloc chains. I know Cora was really happy about these. She said Murlocs are gonna be great and they're a lot of fun to play. They took out only 2 Murlocs. Tied Collar on 1, which is the 1/2 that gains plus attack every time you summon a Murloc. which no one played anyway. So I mean, the removal doesn't really matter that much. And they removed Toxfin. So yes, that's the biggest change. Toxfin gone, you can't just cheese anymore, go poison comp. But that's the only thing that made Murlocs viable. The fact that you could poison them early to stabilize and then maybe do something, find selfless heroes. So they got rid of that. Instead, if you want to find poison, you need to find a 5-drop, which is a 2/6 Murloc, and you need Avenge 3. So 3 things need to die before this gets sniped, and then you give a random Murloc poison permanently. So that's a big big change, that there's only one way now to get poison on Murlocs with that 5-drop and a bit of luck. So they didn't add a new 1-drop Murloc, so there's only Tide Hunter and Rockpool Hunter. Instead, they added a new 2-drop and new 3-drop, so they diluted the pool for Lookout. They make Murlocs worse because now Lookout can't just always hit the Seer and the other buffs, the Gurgle, but now we can also hit Swolefin and Salt Skill Honcho, which I don't think are great Murlocs. So actually they nerfed Murlocs a lot. They said Murlocs were going to be stronger, but I don't see it. I really don't see it. And they have Seafood Slinger at tier 6 unit, which is also like a win more card. It just makes a Murloc golden, so if you find a good Murloc in your shop, you can golden it, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Murlocs still just need Bran, and you need to get lucky by hitting Lookout into a bunch of buffs. But all of that became harder now. So I'm scared. I think Murlocs are dead, especially with Mechs being stronger, especially with other tribes getting so much more scaling. They kind of, made Murlocs worse. I don't see it as a buff, although I could be wrong, because Murlocs are a little bit headed into a different direction with the Honcho. You could just have a bunch of Honchos, kind of like Party Elementals, and whenever you play Murlocs, you give plus health to stuff. But it seems like somewhat of a party rock scenario where it's like good for a little bit and then falls off. And it's only one card. I don't know. I don't see it. So Murlocs, I think I'm never gonna play them. The only poison now is like Mechs, Spore. And yeah, the Murloc stuff if you get lucky. Or Amalgadon if you get lucky. The big downside is you can't fix Amalgadons anymore with just rolling Toxfin and finding it off Lookout. You need to play the 5-drop and then play it on the board for a fight, and then it's going to poison your Amalgadon. So it's a lot harder to fix it. Dragons also got a big change. 5 units removed, 5 added. The units removed are pretty useless, like Dragon Spawn Lieutenant, or I don't know how to pronounce it in English, but the 1-drop, that's shit. Wax Rider, Whack Toggle. Wait, was it? Gone. it's a 1-2 that sometimes grows. It's not great. No one really picked it. Herald is a tempo option on tier 4, gone. And then Steward I'm a little bit sad about, because Steward doesn't have to be for Dragon Comp, right? Like you could just take a Steward and play Mechs or whatever. If you have a good shop on 8 gold, you can just sell Steward, buff 3 things, and buy 3 things. Those were great plays with a trade-off, because you have to play a 3/3 on the board for a little bit. So I like the Steward a lot. Kind of sad to see it go, because that takes away some of the fun elements of risk reward. That's what I like in Battlegrounds. High risk, high reward. Like having to take damage or having to take greedy cards that sometimes pay off into a better mid game. Like this card is a 3/3. You might take some damage for it, but if you get lucky, you have a good shop, you can sell it and get a spike in return. Same with Faceless. Faceless was the same. You buy a card that does nothing until you roll something good. So you could just never roll something good and die. But if you roll something good, you have potential of high rolling. High risk, high reward. That's what makes games like these skillful, yet they're removing some of that, which is a little bit sad to see, but we'll see how it transforms, because they added more cards that do reward high skill, high reward. So they took out some of it to replace them with new cards. We'll see. Hangry Dragon also gone, which is like a situational card if you have it really early on, like with Galakron, or you triple into it on turn 3. It could snowball a little bit, but yeah, Hangry Dragon gone. Instead, they gave us a new 1-drop. Whelp Smuggler is very interesting. This is a card that I want to talk about. It's after a friendly dragon gains attack, give a +2 health. Now, this might be really good with, well, the 1-drop, but also with the promo Drake that we got, which is at start of combat, give adjacent dragons +1/+1 for each dragon you control. So, if you have Terragosas, which is also, I think I'm making this too complex. Let's back up a bit. So Terragosa is a dragon on tier 3, 4/4 that keeps enchantments from combat permanently. So whatever buffs it gets during combat from a spawn, from Ritualist, but Ritualist is gone, or from the promo Drake that I just talked about that gives adjacent units buff during combat, it's gonna keep those forever. So I don't know how many combat buffs are in the game right now, but all of them will be permanent for Terragosa. Even if you have a hero power like Alakir or Demon Hunter, it'll keep those buffs. So this is interesting to note, because if you have Whelp Smuggler, every time it gets a buff, it'll also get +2 health that is permanent. And that is going to be a really good combo, Whelp Smuggler with Terragosa with Prize Promo Drake. Also the other 4-drop, which is a 3/5 that deals 3 damage whenever a dragon attacks. So a dragon attacks in, is going to deal 3 damage, kind of juggler-like. It's just good to snipe shields. I don't think 3 additional damage is going to make a massive difference, especially since you have to play a 3/5 on the board, which is not great. But it's really great if you're facing a lot of mechs, because it will snipe the shield and then attack in. So you can't really be value traded too much, I guess. So that's a cool card with cool interactions. I don't know how good exactly it's gonna be. Might be just great tempo, who knows, and maybe a tech card in the late game depending on who you face. Like, it's kind of a ghoul, then why not just play ghoul, right? Whelp Smuggler also has cool interactions with, I guess, Razorgore, with Amalgadon. Whenever that gets buffed, it gets +2 HP, things like that. So we don't know if it works with Dancing Daryl. Like, if you dance on a dragon in the shop, does it get +2 HP every time it gets a buff from Daryl? Because that would be absolutely broken. Those are questions that remain to be answered. We'll see, though. Also, it works with Glyph Guardian, which was not removed, but it's only during combat that it gets that health buff then, I think. So win conditions are still Kalag Nadina. They didn't really add more win conditions. They did add cool things in the mid game, like Terragosa and Promo Drake that might make dragons a bit stronger earlier on. I don't think it's gonna be this main skilling for dragons. I think it's still Kaligos and Nadina that you need to hit if you want to win a lobby. But this could be good for Menagerie. Like, maybe you just keep the Terragosa in a Menagerie bold. You know, it could just only skill from other things. So maybe it's more to help Menagerie a little bit. Although Menagerie did get cards removed as well. They will talk about in a little bit. So that was dragons. Then we have pirates. Pirates also got a big rework. 5 things removed, 5 things added. I like the pirate rework the most because it is clear that the archetype stays the same. There's still a lot of gold involved, the golden units. There's a lot of money involved. So the flavor of pirates stayed, and I really like that. I like that they took out cards like Bloodsteel Cannoneer, which is a 3-attack buff, sadly, and South Sea Captain, which I'm a bit conflicted about because it did help pirates early game a lot. Bagel, which just generates you money, but it got replaced by other things that generate you value, so that's fine. Goliath, which is just a big spike, got removed. It wasn't really like part of pirates. Like, late game you don't really play Goliaths on pirate boards. Most of the time you rather have like Eliza, Hogger, Looter stuff. And Boat got removed, so Boat. But I don't know why they removed Boat, because they introduced damage caps. So damage caps, you can only take 15 damage a turn until someone dies. So Boat is not going to one-shot people anymore. I feel like Boat was fine. If you triple into 6 and you miss, you're fine taking a Boat to be strong. But it got removed nonetheless. So maybe because they wanted to add a new 6-drop into the game and didn't want to remove Eliza. They added a new 2-drop, which is pretty useless, that I'm not even going to talk about. A 3-drop, which is basically just going to give you a coin if you control some pirates. So more money generation. Then the 4-drop I'm most excited about. It is whenever a added card is added to your hand, you give another pirate +1/+1. So this incentivizes buying and cycling pirates with Salty Looter, with Hogger, but not just pirates. If you generate coins or blood gems, whatever you generate, you're gonna get stats. So maybe you play Quillboars that just get you a bunch of gems and a bunch of shit in hand, and then just play this baggy brittle bone that gives you +1/+1, and then one more pirate. Could be an Amalgadon. Then maybe Amalgadon gets like +10/+10 a turn because you generate so many cards in hand. There's a lot of cool interactions that could happen with this. Also, again, with Captain Hogger, you don't need to go infinite anymore. Just one Hogger could be enough because of the stats this card is going to help you generate onto your other pirates. That way your stats are also more evenly spaced instead of just having like a big Salty Looter. You still have Arm, which is going to buff cards that you want to buff, but pirates that you cycle. So they made APM pirates better, which is fine, I guess, but APM pirates has been rumored to like be an issue because it incentivizes restarting the game. It incentivizes cheating, or I don't know if you want to call this cheating, but you can disconnect to save your time, so that way you have better APM turns. Now APM turns become more important. Also, if you're on mobile, you have a disadvantage because on mobile you play slower. If you have a slower computer, you're at a disadvantage. So this kind of leans into things that people are annoyed about. I do like that I do like APM pirates personally, so I do like this change to see it being more viable. But I know it's gonna bring more issues than solve issues with pirates. They also added Tony Two Tusk, which is, I think, the most interesting card here. It's a 4/6 that avenge 5, so 5 things need to die, makes a friendly pirate golden permanently. So if you can have this on the board and it survives, then you're gonna make a random pirate golden. Let's say you play Scallywag comp, just throw in this guy, and you're gonna make your Eliza golden and both Scallywags in a single turn. So it could lead to cool stuff as well if you play Hoggers comp. You put this in and you can guarantee this avenge triggering. You're gonna make your golden, your Hoggers golden, or your Salty Looters, or your Peggies, or whatever pirates you have on the board. So this could easily snowball if you can guarantee it going off, although it is only a 4/6, so it is gonna be pretty slow. I like the concept of it. I do like the potential, and I think it's gonna be interesting to see pirates operate now. I think they got a lot more extra tools. So patches I'm a little bit scared about. I think it got worse because of Captain being gone and Cannoneer being gone. Those are the big early spikes that you wanted to hit with patches of your hero power and the pairs that you wanted to hit, because they make you strong, make you survive, and make you level to Hogger, to hit Hoggers and to hit Elizas. You lost all your early tempo pretty much. Now you have this new 3-drop, that's it, that generates you a coin, but it's only a 4/4, and then the only good thing to hit is on tier 4 still, which is Peggy. And then Tony is on tier 5, and there's no Goliath anymore, so one less spike as well. So actually patches, the early game pirates got a lot worse, but mid to late game pirates got a lot better, which I don't know how to feel about, because that's not really what we wanted. But pirates are going to be fun. I still really like this rework. I think pirates will be viable. The 6-drop just gives you a random golden unit every 2 turns. I think that's just RNG. That's just to throw in like some fun elements in the game. Some high rolls that you can see on Reddit. Some YouTube videos that you're going to see with a clickbait title. Nosy Looter gave me what? And then in 2 turns you get like a golden Eliza from Nosy Looter. Whatever. So the win conditions for pirates are still Eliza, it's still in the game, so if Scallywag comp is still a thing, you can still go Khadgar, Baron, Scallywag, Eliza, which sucks. It sucks because, you know, lobbies are just going to be cheesed by this combo still. But I guess it is what it is, right? Hoggers are still in, so you can still do APM stuff with Salty Looters. Again, I talked about this. APM got better because of the new cards that we got added. Tony Two Tusk, I think, is also a legit win con. If you just have random pirates or whatever on the board, having a Tony Two Tusk and having a trigger is going to have you spike a lot, and I think could single-handedly help you transition into pirates. So I'm going to add it as a win condition as well. I'm not entirely sure how good it's going to be, how reliable it's going to be, but we'll see about that soon, right? Last but not least, I think Elementals. Oh no, Quillboars are still here as well. Elementals didn't get much of a change. Only 2 Elementals gone. The tier 3 Arcane Assistant, which was a good elemental buff, but got changed by Smogger, which is a 3/3 elemental on tier 3 as well. That gives a friendly elemental, so you can target it, stats equal to your 7th tier. So it gives you at least +3/+3 if you're tier 3, which is very often already better than Arcane Assistant, because you can target it, so you can hit the Molten Rock or the Cyclone, even more important. And if you hit this on tier 4 or 5, it gets even better, right? And Gar is also gone. Gar, the big as elemental taunt, but with the removal of Toxfin, I guess it goes kind of hand in hand, and Gar was just stupid. It could get so massive it wins lobbies on its own if people are not playing poison properly. Although it's easy to counter if you find a spore. Like I've seen so many people underestimate or overestimate Gar. Gar is really good at getting really big early on, but if you just play a spore, you're gonna wipe out half their board. But okay. Gar gone and made room for a different 6-drop, which is kind of a Gar, but a way worse version. It's a 6/6 neutral, so no tribe. Taunt after a friendly elemental gains stats, gain +1/+1. So if you have a friendly elemental just gaining stats, he's gonna get only +1/+1. This guy, it's just a worse version of Gar. Let's end with that. Dazzling Light Spawn, I think, is massive. Elementals got a Nomi on tier 4. Believe it or not, that is an elemental. So this is a 4/5 on tier 4, avenge 2, only 2 things need to die, and elementals and Bob Starving get +1/+1 for the rest of the game. Now, this is going to be a big issue because it is literally Nomi, and you don't have to cycle elementals. You just need a board, and if things die and this thing survives, you're just going to give elementals in your tavern for the rest of the game +1/+1. Imagine tripling into this on turn 4, like really early on. And guess what? You have Nomi already, and you probably win the game from there on because all the good elementals are in. Wildfire is still in, Cyclone is still in, Party Rock is all still in. So Dazzling Light spawns something to be very scared of. I think that is a win condition added to elementals that I don't think they necessarily needed. They also got another tier 4 unit, a 5/4. That whenever you play an elemental, your refresh goes 0. This is kind of a filler card. Like, it's a 5 for elemental that sometimes, if you play another elemental, gives you a free refresh, kind of like refreshing anomaly that works multiple times. Maybe doesn't really seem worth, but okay, we got it. that's the end of that. So the win condition is still Nomi and Lil Rag. I would say Lil Rag genie stuff is still a thing. There's no Gar anymore, but elementals can still snowball pretty well, I would say. Nomi, I think, is a bit unnecessary with Dazzling Light spawns. You want to hit those first. Maybe you could find a Nomi later to like cycle still, but it seems unnecessary. There's so much gold wasted cycling for Nomi if you can just get Dazzling Light spawns and do nothing and have your taverns be upgraded. So we'll see how that evolves, but I think yeah, the elementals might be really strong as well. Depending on how good Dazzling Light spawn is going to be. If it's as strong as I think it is, it's going to be broken. Now, one thing I am thinking about is that it's better now to triple into 4s and maybe 5s. Tier 6 got a lot of trash, like 2 things got removed, and there were a lot of things added to tier 6, but I don't think tier 6 is that great. There's no like real win cons on tier 6. Most of them are tier 4 and 5. So maybe it's fine again to triple into early 4s. Like, imagine if you hit the Grease bot for Mechs that gives like Divine Shield units +2/+1, or you hit this light spawn, like you're gonna be really strong. A lot of 5s are also still in the game, a lot of direction on tier 5. Tier 6 got a bit too polluted, a little bit too, it's a bit too much basically. So I might just be tripling into 4s and 5s if the patch goes live, depending on of course what tribes are in the lobby. But so far from what I've seen, like for pirates at tier 6 doesn't really matter as much. At tier 5 is better. For dragons you still want a 6. For Murlocs, like we got Sifu Slinger in the pool now, which is really bad. It's a 5/5 neutral that does nothing most of the time. I don't really want that. The tier 6 mech also doesn't matter that much that they added. The tier 6 demon, only if you play like full demons. So yeah, I'll be tripling into 5s and 4s. Last but not least, Quillboars got one change. I don't know why. Quillboars are still really strong. So they changed Thorncolor, which is the 4/3 Battlecry Death Rattle, gain a blood gem on tier 3, to a tier 3 2/4. Whenever a minion loses Divine Shield, gain a blood gem. So if you find this early, it is worse because it only generates you gems if you have multiple Divine Shield units. But later on, of course, it's better than Thorncolors because it should generate you more blood gems than Thorncolor would. Although whatever, right? I can't really say much about this. Quillboars will still be relatively the same. Now for neutrals, this is very interesting. They removed 6. So like I talked about, they removed Faceless, so a little bit less high roll potential in tier 5 and higher up. They removed Kiraji, so no more like Tempo Acolytes Dawn builds, which is fine by me. They removed Ritualist. I don't really know why, but goodbye Ritualist. Warden of Old, which was a 3/3 death rattle that gives you a gold on tier 3, got replaced by the Pirate that gives you a gold if you have at least one other Pirate controlled. So basically just swapping this out as neutral for a Pirate that basically has the same effect. Bolvar got removed because I think it was a Divine Shield unit and there's a little bit too much strong Divine Shield synergy. Like Greasebot with Bolvar would just be super strong, so I think that's why Bolvar got removed, which is okay, I guess, it's fine. Mitrex got removed, which is the biggest hit I think that happened because Menagerie was so good because of Mitrex being in the game. Hitting an early Mitrex if you have a shitty board is massive because then suddenly you have like a big unit that starts scaling up with your shit on the board. So Mitrex was insanely good, carried a lot of games. A Golden Mitrex could literally win games. Gone. So I'm a little bit scared for Menagerie. We still got Lightfang, Bran, and Amalgadon, so I think Lightfang will still be Lightfang and Menagerie will still be playable. Just Mitrex being gone, I don't really understand, and I'm leaning towards Menagerie being less good because all the other tribes got so many buffs. Like all the other tribes got basically improved except for maybe Murlocs. So yeah, Menagerie just fell off a little bit. We'll see though, I could be completely wrong. They only added 2 more neutrals, so they removed 6 neutrals and added 2. we'll see how that like affects the minion pool, but they added a really cool one. I think this is an actually super strong one, and it is in every game because it's a neutral. It's a 1/4 on tier 3, avenge 3, so 3 things need to die. Give adjacent minions +2/+1 permanently. This could trigger once or twice a turn, maybe 3 times if you have a token heavy board. That gives you +4/+2 total then to adjacent units. So if you have double deflectable, put this in, and it's gonna keep buffing those as well. It's a 1/4, so really bad stats, but if it already buffs once, it already made up for that because it gets +4/+2, so it's going to be a 5/6 total in stats. Meaning that this guy, if you pick it and triggers once, it already is better than most tier 3 units, and it keeps on scaling. It's kind of like an Iron Sensei on steroids, so they removed Iron Sensei and put a better one in the game that's neutral, they can buff whatever. Yeah, strong card. I'll take it most of the time when I see it, I guess. Then we have another tier 4 unit, which is a 3/5 avenge 3. So again, you gotta kill 3 things. It just adds a random battle card unit to your hand. So I mean, this whatever. It's like a little bit of value generation. If it lives, you can get like a battle card unit. Yeah, whatever, right? It's a 3/5 neutral. It doesn't scale. You're just gonna play this for a little bit, but it never really fits into a comp. So we got those. That's about it. Final conclusions. So I wrote down what I think about the meta. Moonbear Beast comps are going to be great. Demons will be great. All of this I actually already talked about pretty in depth. So one thing that I need to mention is that there's still the same high roll with tokens and shudderwock and jandice. So those will still win lobbies. Yeah, those will still win most of your lobbies. That didn't change whatsoever. So that's it. That's all the new tribes. That is what I think the game is going to look like after the patch. We'll see about that. Maybe you're watching this or listening to this after the patch was revealed and the meta is still shaping up. Again, I'll follow up on this video or on this podcast episode not too long from now if I have more information. Now, Avenge, I want to talk about quickly. So this new keyword, whenever units die, something triggers. It's a cool concept. I just don't know why it can trigger multiple times, because this is going to lead to everyone playing Acolyte of Cthulhu, the Reborn Taunts on tier 1, everyone playing Scallywag, everyone playing cards that, well, are easily going to trigger it because the effects are so strong. So many of these Avenge cards are so stupid strong, like the Elemental, the Beast guy, like it's all so good that I think people will set up boards for that. And even with like Scallywag stuff, you could trigger Avenge like maybe 10 times a turn. It's kind of crazy what combos are potentially possible. So I'm scared for Avenge, the fact that it can trigger multiple times, and I think you're gonna see a lot of boards that play Acolytes for that specific reason, or other cards that like Menaces and cards that summon are gonna be great. Is what I'm trying to say here. That's why Dragons might not be good, because they don't have any death rattle or summon stuff. They just have big stats, so Avenge doesn't really trigger that well. Also, the new heroes real quickly. Nguyen, I think that's how I should pronounce it. Nguyen. So it's a very popular Vietnamese name apparently. I've seen it a lot. I never knew how to pronounce it, but thank you all who pointed it out in the latest video how to pronounce it, because I did a terrible job. Gets you a new hero power, or gets to choose from 2 new hero powers every turn. It was confirmed that useless hero powers are not in the pool, so hero powers like Galewing or hero powers that just like don't really work with this hero are not in the pool, meaning it is going to be pretty consistent in getting you good hero powers. It's going to give you stuff that is just going to be useful throughout the entire game. Sometimes you get a George, sometimes you get a Reno, a Zephyrus. Like, yeah, I think this hero is good. For that reason alone, that it's so flexible and you can just harrow in multiple ways. Then we have, like, maybe you hit an Omu hero power right as you want to level. Then we have Kareel, which is the hero that is just a worse guff. It gives you +1/+1 on tier 1 and 2. It gives you +3/+3, so +1/+1 on 3 different units once you're tier 3 and up. Once you're tier 5, you get +5/+5 total, so +1/+1 on 5 units for 1 gold. Yeah, just a worse guff, or like somewhat of a guff. I don't really like the design on this. It seems kind of like the same as a lot of other heroes, but just a worse version. So this hero just doesn't seem great. The damage cap real quick as well. So you can only take 15 damage up until 1 person in the lobby dies, meaning that you're not going to be like taking 25 damage on turn 6 if you face Shudderwock again. You're only going to take 15. But what this means is that if you're at 16 HP, you can take risks like crazy. Like if you're at 20 HP, you know you're not gonna die. So even if you face a high roller, you can be like, I have another turn. I'm gonna play greedy. You can level. So I think this is gonna change the dynamic of the game a lot. You still don't really want to take early damage because that's never gonna be over 15. But as soon as you know you're at the edge of dying, but you can't die, or you're facing a strong opponent, it doesn't matter. It's like you have Ice Block with Akazamzarak. So this is going to change the dynamic a lot. The lobbies are going to be kind of weird, I think. People power leveling in weird spots. You kind of want to phase the high roller, so they deal 15. So you can't phase them anymore later on, or for 2 turns. Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting to think about, and I think it's going to mess with the mind games as well. It's going to mess with how lobbies are played out, and I think you're going to see some greed. You're going to see especially a lot of greed with all the new stuff on tier 5 and tier 4 and things seemingly scaling a little bit slower higher up. So that's going to be interesting to notice. I can't really tell how tempo-ish or how greedy the meta is going to be. Of course, things like that evolve over time. Usually metas start off very tempo-ish, so whenever a patch drops or a massive update like this, people usually play a lot for tempo because people are experimenting, people are trying out new things, playing suboptimal, and then people with strong early game comps are just going to crush you. That's very often how it happens, like how it works. Whenever a new tribe is introduced, people play strong early stuff like Mechs. Like when Quillboars was released, people are playing Mechs and taunt comp, I think, to just kill the people trying out Quillboars, and the high roll Quillboars still won the lobbies. Yeah, and then usually things go greedier. So we'll see how this goes. But I think this might be the very first instant meta where people are gonna play greedy from the get-go because of all these new systems in place. That is about it that I had to mention about the new stuff. So this was 40 minutes of me talking about new things. I think that's the longest so far, so that tells you how, like, the proportions of this update, how much new things there are, how massive this is for Battlegrounds. This is a very exciting time to be alive. Now let's talk about issues. Because yeah, we can talk about how fun and exciting new stuff is, but we should also talk about things that are still issues in the game that are not addressed. Like, there's 0 bug fixes. The patch notes have 0 bug fixes in them. If this is the first time you listen to a podcast episode, then, well, every single episode almost, or every single update video, I always talk about bugs that have been in the game for over half a year, maybe even close to a year now, that are not being fixed. Massive friendless bugs, massive, like, these are not just small, like, things that don't really matter. These are things that literally sometimes are game breaking. Like, you can't duel with friends anymore. I know Slysssa tweeted this morning about it taking 40 minutes to be invited for a game, and she competes at high level esports, which, like, that's kind of surreal, right? That they have to go through those lengths even at like professional play. There's a lot of other things like disconnect issues. There is a lot of visual bugs. So maybe they're addressed and they just forgot to put in the patch notes. Let's hope. Another thing is just non-games. Non-games are games that basically aren't games. Basically, a shudderwock with 2 tokens on turn 1 and turn 2 are non-games. Jandice with a token on turn 1 is a non-game. This means that these people are gonna get multiple triples on turn 6 or something into 5 and 6 drops. And if you face them, you're going to lose, you're going to die. So the entire lobby is just revolving around, can I dodge the high roller? There have been a lot of lobbies where people just, I've watched Slysssa simulators, I've watched Pokey, like a lot of streamers just being in a lobby with a crazy high roller, myself included as well. Like you see a Shudderwock dealing 30 damage to everyone from turn 6 on, and then it just becomes a game of who can dodge Shudderwock the longest. If you can, you'll get second place. These are games that you have no interaction, you have no counterplay, you just need to avoid someone to not take top 8. This happens at least in higher level play. I don't know what it's like in lower lobbies, because it wasn't addressed. Shudderwock is still in the game, Jandice is in the game. For how long is Jandice in the game? I don't know, since it was released, what is that, like a year ago? Tokens are in the game. People want the tokens reworked because tokens lead to a lot of the issues. Tokens are the reason that Shudderwock is so strong, that Jandice is so strong, that Hooktusk is strong. So tokens enable all of this high roll potential because of the multiple triples. So none of this being addressed is just a clear signal after this long of a while that they don't care about the high level play. It's clear to me that they care about the majority of people, the casuals, the 75% of player base that have fun with these heroes. They look at the win rates, maybe the pick rates, and they see that these heroes in like 5k lobbies aren't an issue. that they have low win rates, maybe that they have high pick rate because they're fun to play. Who knows? But that doesn't mean that it's not like the top 1% suffers every single day, every single lobby from these heroes. Like everyone on Twitter has been crying out to get these changed. I made multiple videos on it. A lot of people talk about it. It's not like the issue is being ignored. But it seems like that. Like people yesterday when the patch notes hit, a lot of people have been giving feedback, have been tagging devs about questions and stuff like that. And whenever tokens or shudderwock or heroes are brought up, there's no reply. Whenever there's being like talks about why our tokens not changed, why shudderwock not changed, things like that, there's no reply from any devs. I wonder why we're keeping this topic silent. Why we're not keeping this topic silent. Creators and a lot of players are talking about this, are very vocal about this, but the people in charge of these changes seem to willingly turn a blind eye to this, and I want to know why. Like maybe there's a good reason for that. Maybe there's going to be changes. Maybe it is because they cater towards the casuals more than the competitive play. Maybe there's just no competitive future for Battlegrounds. Like they don't really the high ranks don't really matter, and there's no esports in the future anyway, so maybe they're looking at it that way. We just want an answer, because this is very annoying, and you can see how passionate I'm about this, because I like this game. A lot of people enjoy this game, but it's just not fun to play in high lobbies anymore, because there's so many non-games where you just don't get to play. You get to try and survive. Anyway, that is my big rant. The high rolliness of things that are still going to be there. You'll still see a jandice with 2 6 drops or 2 5 drops on turn 6. Anyway, let's move on to, well, I don't know. That was my rant, so let's move on to the channel, I guess. Some updates that I have regarding the content. So you're watching a Yepboat episode. I'm still going to do some of those. I'll do one. Usually I do one like every couple of weeks. I'm going to do one within a week because of the big changes, a lot of things I want to talk about. But I'll also be gone. So from the 8th, I'll be gone for 2 weeks. So you won't see any videos from me or any streams for 2 weeks, because I kind of need a break from things. I've been pretty busy, and I haven't actually gone on a vacation since I started this channel. So I want to do that. I'm going to go to Iceland hiking with some friends. I actually don't know if I have anyone I know from Iceland. So if anyone is listening to this or watching this and you live in Iceland, then let me know what places I need to visit. I'd be very, very PogChamp. Also, I've been having fun with more content. So I used to make a lot of guides. I still make a lot of guides. I will make more guides because all the tribes changed, so all my beast videos and videos on how to play dragons and whatever are not relevant anymore. I'll redo all of those, but I've also been having fun with like meme videos, compilations, just having creative ideas and trying to put them in a video, like about the spell lobbies. My best video so far that is like blowing up is the Pain in Hearthstone Battlegrounds one. That was pretty surprising, but you guys enjoy it, so I'm gonna make more fun sketches along the guides and along the update videos and the podcast episodes. So that is what you can expect. I'll experiment a little bit again with challenges. I know I did challenges in the past, and those were my worst performing videos, like me playing the game using only my voice or me playing 4 games at the same time. But I still want to experiment with it. I feel like it could still have a place here. It could still be fun to mess around with, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you all for watching though, and for listening. Hope you enjoyed this little recap of everything that I think of the patch notes, how I think things are going to shape up, the things that I wish were addressed that I'm a little bit sad about, and about the future of this channel. I kept it very short because I don't want to go on too long. This podcast episode is already 50 minutes. Thank you. Have a good day, and goodbye. Well, goodbye is very dramatic. Till the next one.